What is decentralized identifier or DID, which everybody is talking about? Why do we need to own one DID? What is the problem that DID is trying to solve? Hi everyone, this is Vishwas Anand. I have been exploring self-sovereign identity space for quite some time now. And today in this video, I'm going to talk about why do we need decentralized identifier and all the questions related to this, right? Before I jump into what is decentralized identifier, let's just talk about what are identifiers on internet, right? So if I ask you the questions like what is your identity on the internet, you would probably say that your identity on the internet are nothing but your email address, phone number, maybe your username, Facebook ID, Twitter ID, and so on and so forth, right? Well, these are this is what your identifiers on the internet. If you But when we think about identity, we usually think about biometrics, or maybe your passport, or your Aadhaar ID, or your social security number, and so on and so forth. But these are not these identities are not being used on the internet mostly, right? Mostly the identity which is used on the internet are nothing but the identifier which we have just talked about. Now, what do we like, what is the benefit, like what is the point of having this identifier? If you think about it very well, like when you go to on internet and search and do, what is the first thing that you do? You would probably search a Google search, or you would probably access a website, or you would probably go through some news article. Whatever you do, everywhere your identity is associated. For example, if you are browsing through news, then you might not know, but the identifier which is being used to really identify you is nothing but your browser fingerprint, or probably your IP address, right? If you log into a website, your email address or your phone number is your identifier on the internet. So with this, what I'm trying to tell you is, whatever you do on the internet, it starts with identity, or identifier rather. Now, these identifier defines your existence on the internet. If so, it is that important, that your existence is being defined on the internet because of this. Whatever you do, whatever activity you do a post, or you do a or do you like, or you create videos, or do whatever. All your activities are being associated with these identifiers, right? So this identifier is very important, and the problem with this identifier is in multiple folds. The first problem, which is the main problem that we have with this identifier, is the control of this identifier. You don't really control these identifiers. Now you would argue, hey, I have my phone number with me, I have my email address and the associated password, I have the username and its associated password with me. How come I don't control this identifier? Well, you might have seen or faced these kind of situations where a telecom operator assigns your phone number to some other guy, if you would have not, let's say, pay for a certain period of time to that phone number, right? Or you would have seen that many times of your email address gets revoked. Like, let's say, imagine that if I am an employee of that email address provider, and if I or identity provider, so-called identity provider, if I would I just happens to delete your record from the database, then suddenly you lose access to all the apps where you would have used that email address, right? So for example, if you have a Gmail address, and if by any chance or by any means that email address is deleted from the database, then you suddenly lost the access to all of the websites where you would have used the Gmail account, right? Similarly, the telecom operators have access to your your phone number. So with this, what I'm trying to say is, you really don't control this valuable identifiers. Why this is valuable? Because, like I said, your existence is being defined on the internet because of this identifier, but you don't control this identifier. So this is the first problem of these identifiers. The second problem is your privacy, right? So imagine that you are using these identifiers on a particular website. Now the website is trying to resell this to someone else, and he's selling to someone else. You start getting all the emails and the calls from the services which you would have never used, right? It's clearly a breach of privacy. That hey, why are you calling me if I'm not using, if I don't even know your company, right? They should not reach out to you if you never tried, or if you never intend to try it out. So how come they are reaching out to you? So you get pissed off, right? Most of the time it happens with all of us, right? Like you get some random calls from some credit card company saying that, hey, please buy this credit card. You ask this question to them, how do you get my number, right? OTP is the next bad thing, which I don't know why people are going with the OTP. Like I heard that in India it's a de facto, like, pardon me if I have not verified this fact, but I heard that in India, especially in the banks and all, you have to use OTP as your login mechanism. This is really bad. Why? Because OTPs, because first you cannot create so many phone numbers, so you can have limited phone number, let's say one or two or three. And secondly, what if there are three problems? First is, imagine that you don't have the device with you, then you are not able to use that, access that website. Second is, what if you are not in the same geographical location where the telecom operator is providing you the service? Most of the time, even though you are in India, or you are in the same country, sometimes you don't get the network, right? Third is, you don't sometimes you will see that there is a network delay, like you are getting OTP after a very long time. By that time you cannot access the website, right? So all this factor combines, and what does it tell? It tells that all these identifiers which you have been using on the internet are not really being controlled by you. Okay, so this is so first problem that we talk is the control. Second is the privacy. You should not. And third is, they're expensive. Like, can you create so many phone numbers? No, right? Now, why should I need to create so many phone numbers? You might ask these questions, because so that these guys should not reach out to you. Like, imagine that you would have used your phone number 1 to access a website A, and they would have sell this phone number to someone else, and even if you wanted to delete this phone number or just throw the SIM card in a dustbin, you cannot do that, because you would have associated this same phone number with some of your bank account. So these are the problems with these identifiers, okay? And control is one of the very important aspect of it. So decentralized identity, or DID, is trying to solve all of these problems. Okay, so let's start with what is DID. So DID is nothing but yet another identifier. The only difference is these identifiers are not being controlled by one company. It is being created on a blockchain, so nobody can just go and delete it, because blockchain is an immutable ledger. And secondly, the access to this, the control of this identifier, so these DIDs are associated with a private key and public key cryptographic pairs, where only you have the access of the private key associated with that DID, nobody else. And thirdly, these DIDs are very cheap to create, so you can create as many as you want, and you can be anonymous on the internet, no problem. So that is DID for you. In the next upcoming videos, I will talk more about the other aspect of the self-sovereign identity, like verifiable credential, why they are used, and so on and so forth. But it's really important to understand the concept of DID before even jumping into any of these topics, because like, can you live without internet? No, right? You cannot live without internet. It's like that. So similarly, and what if your existence itself is being controlled by some guy or some person or some company? Then how, like, you might have heard this, right? Like, you are a very good content creator having millions of subscribers on the TikTok, and suddenly the TikTok is banned or down, or whatever happened to the TikTok. Now you can no longer prove that you are a good content creator. You can no longer prove any of your activities. You can no longer say that even if you have given your TikTok username, that hey, see, this is my TikTok username and I have like million of subscribers. Hey, I cannot verify that fact because there is no longer TikTok available in the market, like in certain in certain region. So these is very important to understand that why do we need to control these identifiers. Okay, I'll end this video with this. I just want you to give think about this. Okay, and unless we understand the problems with these identifiers, we can never relate with whatever this decentralized identity or self-sovereign identity or this new web 3 identity which is coming up. Okay, that is it for this video. Thank you.